They say a good name is better than riches. But what if your name becomes a warning? My name is Wee Wee, and once, just hearing it made mothers pull their children close. People covered their noses when I passed, some vomited. Others crossed the road without looking back. But I wasn't always this way, no, there was a time when I was just a girl, young. Dirty, yes. But harmless, until one day, one choice, one moment of hunger and pride, turned me into something else, something I can never forget. In our village of Omuoshi, where goats roam free and the air always carries the smell of roasted yam, I lived with my family, simple, honest, struggling, like many others. The sun in Omuoshi doesn't just shine. It presses. It settles on your skin like a hot stone and stays there until you bathe in the river. The ground was always warm, the red clay paths narrow, twisting like secrets between houses molded by hand, roofed with rusted zinc. Children laughed as they fetched water. Women bent over fires, fanning pots with broken plates, and every evening, the village slept under a sky so wide, it swallowed your worries. We had little, but it was enough. My father was a farmer. Quiet. Hard-working. He spoke more with his eyes than his mouth. My mother, my mother, she sold fish in the market. The kind that made your fingers stink for days even after washing. And me? I was just Wee Wee. 16. Careless. Rough around the edges. But back then, I didn't smell, not the way I do now. No one covered their faces, no one turned away, until the day the old blind woman called out. And I pretended not to hear her, until the day I thought hunger was a good enough reason to take what was not mine, until the day I stole from her. That's when the quiet in Omuoshi broke. That's when my name began to rot in people's mouths. I wasn't the neatest girl. I had dust on my legs, mud on my skirt, and fish scales in my nails. But I didn't care. I helped Mama. I fetched water. I hawked tomatoes in the evening when the sun was less cruel. I ran barefoot through the village paths, my wrappers torn at the hem, my hair never quite braided all the way, and no matter how dirty I got. I never smelled. The other girls whispered that maybe I had something in me. Some strange gift, some odd protection. One of them once said, "Wee Wee, you day carry smell but your own no day reach nose." We laughed, we always laughed, never knowing laughter can sour. Just like trust, my mother was the loudest voice in our house, a woman of fire, market dust, and hot soup. Her fingers smelled like dry fish, her lips always tasted like pepper. She fought with the market women in the morning and hugged us to sleep by night. She was our storm and our shelter, my father. He barely spoke, a man of silence and soil. His hands were always crusted with earth, his back bent from lifting too much for too long. But when he looked at you, you understood everything. He never needed to shout. His silence corrected you before your mistake was complete. Then there was Uche, my brother. 10 years old. Always in corners, he watched people, listened to doors, noticed things others didn't, quiet. Sharp. His silence wasn't like Papa's, it was searching, always searching. And Ada, my little sister. 8 years and full of sun, she sang to goats, danced with shadows, and followed me everywhere. Wee Wee. Wait for me now, she always said, her tiny legs chasing my footprints. That was my family, simple. Loud in our own ways, we didn't have much, but we had each other, and before that day. Before that fish. We had peace. Tell me. If your sister came home one day smelling like something the wind rejected, would you still sit beside her? Would you sleep in the same room? Or would you find a reason to move away? Just a little. Every day? My life wasn't golden, but it was mine. I woke before the sun. Tied Mama's headscarf. Carried her basket. Walked beside her to the market, past the chickens scratching red dust, past the boys flinging stones into the river. Past the compound where the madman muttered to mango trees. I didn't wear the neatest clothes. I didn't have pretty sandals. But people respected me. The elders would say, "That girl gets strong head, but she day try." The headmistress at school, she'd look at my muddy uniform and sigh, "Wee wee, try to bathe at least before assembly," but she always smiled. I had value. I had place, then. I saw her, the blind woman. She sat at the far corner of the market, near the broken well. Nobody really spoke to her. She didn't call out her wares. She didn't shout prices, just Saturday like a tree that no longer expected fruit. Her hair was white. Her eyes, cloudy like river water after a storm. In front of her, a tiny woven basket. Inside, only fish, small, dry, salted. I don't know what pushed me. Maybe the crowd pressed too hard. Maybe Mama was shouting again. Maybe Ada had spilled something. Maybe I was tired, but I saw it. That one fish. Lying near the edge of the basket, I looked around. Nobody was watching, not even her. I reached down and, "She's blind," I whispered to myself. "It's just one. She won't know," and I walked away with it. That night, I didn't eat the fish, I couldn't. It stared at me like it still had breath. The next morning, the air shifted. I woke to Ada screaming. She ran out of the room and refused to come near me. "You smell like dead water," she cried. I touched my armpits, my clothes, my skin. Nothing. At school, I sat beside Chidima. We were supposed to study. After 2 minutes, she gagged, then vomited. The class burst into panic. The smell, they said it was me. I couldn't smell it. I didn't feel different, but everyone else. They ran. The next day, 3 girls changed seats when I entered. The boys stopped teasing me. They started running from me. Mama scrubbed me in the bath. Hard. Till my skin stung, but it didn't go away. The smell followed. No one could see it, but they all felt it. Tell me something. If you borrow a coin from a beggar, and lie about it, do you think the spirits care that it was just one? Or do they hear the lie louder than the theft? By the 3rd day, no one sat near me, not in school. Not at home. Ada stopped sleeping beside me. Uche wouldn't eat from the same bowl. Mama said, "Wee wee, go and scrub yourself again. Use the black soap. Scrub well, my daughter." I did. I went to the stream at Otolo River, the far one behind the plantain grove, where the water runs colder and the stones bite your feet. I took off my clothes and scrubbed like I was trying to erase myself. My skin turned red. I bled under my nails. My hair came off in tiny clumps, but the smell stayed. It wasn't on my body, it was around me. In me, in the air I carried. My classmates started calling me Aho Nsi. Terrible smell. I didn't answer anymore. What was there to say? Even the chickens ran when I passed. One day, as I approached the compound, I heard Mama shouting at a customer, "Come back and buy your fish, now." "What did we do to you people?" The woman replied, loud, so I could hear. "Nobody wants to buy food that smells like something died beside it." That day, Mama sat in the dark. She didn't eat. She didn't talk. I sat by the door, silent, watching Uche scrape the last bits of palm oil from an empty tin. The next morning, as I walked through the market, head low, face covered with my wrapper, I heard it, 2 traders whispering, "That's her. The smelly one. They say she stole from Mama Ejogbo." Mama Ejogbo? That blind woman? Shoo, don't call her blind. That woman sees what eyes cannot. She curses with silence. My feet stopped, my chest, tight. I turned, slowly, and there she was, Mama Ejogbo. Sitting beneath the broken palm frond roof. her tiny basket in front of her, no one around her. She didn't need them. I walked toward her, my hands shook. My breath shallow. I opened my mouth but no words came. She didn't look at me. She didn't need to. Her mouth opened, soft, cracking like dry leaves. Fish thief. Rotten girl. May the stink of your greed follow you forever. That moment felt like a hole opened beneath my feet. I wanted to beg, but my throat closed. I wanted to scream, but my legs gave way. I dropped to my knees. My tears fell on her dusty feet. She didn't flinch. What I carry. You carry now, she said, until you learn what a hand takes, the soul must carry. Have you ever been cursed by someone who didn't need to see you to see you? The village air started to feel heavier. The sun didn't warm me anymore. It burned me. The wind didn't sing through the trees. It whispered things behind my back. I stopped going to school. What was the point? I sat alone behind the hut, beside the broken mortar Mama once used to pound yam. I barely spoke, not even to Ada. She didn't come close anymore anyway. My body still moved. I still fetched water. I still washed clothes, but my spirit was crawling, and the smell. It wasn't just a smell now, it was a presence, like something had climbed inside me and stretched its legs in my bones, even the goats. The same goats I used to play with in the early morning. They ran when I came close. One of them slipped and hurt itself just trying to avoid me. The dogs howled all night. Uche told Mama in whispers that he saw a shadow moving behind me when I walked. Mama called it nonsense. But I saw her eyes. She didn't believe her words. One evening, after the last light dipped behind the hills, she grabbed my wrist hard and said, "Wee wee. If you don't tell me what you did, I'll take you to the priest. I'll take you to Dibia Ajani. I don't care what it costs me. You're not normal anymore." I pulled away. I couldn't tell her. I was too ashamed. It was just a fish, just a stupid fish. But each night, I dreamt of her. Mama Ijogbo, standing in the middle of a dry river, her blind eyes glowing like fireflies, her voice echoing inside my ears. What a hand takes, the soul must carry. And when I woke up, I could still smell myself, stronger, thicker, like rotting cassava and burning rubber and wet ashes. I avoided mirrors. But once, I caught a glimpse of my reflection in the stream. My face looked swollen. My lips looked cracked. My eyes weren't mine anymore. They were gray, not just tired, gray, the way unripe plantain looks when it spoils inside. I screamed, but my own scream sounded like someone else's. That's when I knew I was disappearing, piece by piece, and nobody could stop it. Not Mama, not Uche, not even Dibia Ajani. I started walking alone at night, through the farm roads. Past the abandoned shrine. I didn't know where I was going. Maybe I was hoping to walk far enough that the smell wouldn't follow. But it did. It always did. Dear listener, have you ever lost yourself? Not all at once, but day by day, like peeling your own skin. Slowly, while the world watches, and pretends they don't smell the rot. That was me. That is me. But something changed. One night, in the forest, when I saw her again. That night, I went to the river again, not to fetch water, not to bathe, just to cry. I didn't even have tears left at first. I just sat there. Knees in the mud, arms around my chest. Rocking myself like Mama used to rock Ada to sleep. I was tired, tired of smelling myself, tired of dreaming of glowing blind eyes, tired of watching people pull away from me like I was death itself. And as I cried, really cried this time, with tears that tasted like smoke and salt, someone sat beside me, not suddenly, not with a sound. One moment I was alone. And the next, there was breathing beside me. I turned my head, slowly, an old man. Skin like tree bark. Eyes like cracked glass. He wore a tattered wrapper. His feet were bare. And he was smiling, not the kind of smile people give when they pity you. not the kind of smile that says poor child. This one. This one held secrets. He waited, and when I stopped crying long enough to breathe, he said, "You stink of regret. That's a better smell than pride." I blinked. I wanted to ask who he was, but before I could, he said, "I saw it. You thought no one saw. But I did. I saw it before it happened. I see things. In dreams. In fire. In water. And in the empty spaces people leave behind when they lie to themselves." I froze. He wasn't from our village. I would have remembered. No one looked like that. No one sounded like that. I whispered, "You saw what?" And he leaned closer. His breath didn't stink, but it was heavy. Like wind from the past, the fish. The hand. The blindness. The greed. My body went cold. He continued, "You didn't just steal a fish. You stole trust. You stole a prayer she was waiting to answer. That woman. Mama Ejogbo. She doesn't sell fish. She gives them. One basket. Each day. To the one who needs it most." I started shaking. He wasn't angry. But his voice. It pressed into my skin. That fish was for a widow with 3 mouths to feed. A woman who cried under her mat the night before. That fish was her answer. But you. You took it. You touched something sacred with dirty hands. I covered my face. I wanted to scream. I wanted to dig a hole in the riverbank and bury myself inside it. But he wasn't done. "Now you carry the curse of unmet need. Of broken timing. And it stinks. Not because of what you are, but because of what you interrupted." He stood up then, his bones cracked like dry bamboo. "You want to be free?" I nodded, then stopped trying to fix it with soap. Go to her. Not with a mouth full of sorry. But with a spirit low enough to kiss her feet. Bring back what you took. Not the fish. The dignity. The moment. The repentance. I whispered, "But how? How do I return something like that?" And he looked at the river. "Kneel. Ask. Wait. Let her judge your heart, not your voice. And if your heart is clean, the stink will leave. Not because you earned it, but because you learned it." I looked up again, but he was gone. No footprints, no sound of walking, just silence, and the ripple of the river, like it had just swallowed a ghost. Dear listener, what do you do when the only cure for your shame is to return to the place where you caused it? I had one path left, and it smelled of mud. And truth. And barefoot humility, so I went. The next morning, I woke before the birds. I didn't wait for the sun. I didn't speak to Mama. I just wrapped my skirt, grabbed a calabash, and walked. I didn't even know where I was going, only that the dreams had shown me water. Dark, still water. With silver fish that blinked like stars, and proverbs. Words my grandmother used to say came back to me, like the ancestors were laying stepping stones before my feet. A river does not forget its source. The fish that swims against the current remembers the face of the storm. I crossed the village edge, past the last cassava farms, into a place I'd never dared walk alone, Ikpra Forest. They said spirits lived there, that if you entered with pride in your heart, the trees would twist around you until you forgot your name. But I had no pride left, only fear. And hope. The forest was quiet, but not empty. I heard drums in the distance that no one was playing. I saw a lizard stop in the middle of a path and bow its head like a priest. At one point, I stepped into a clearing where all the leaves had turned black. Just black, but still, I walked, and after what felt like hours, or maybe it was days, I found the river, not the one from our village, this one. It moved like it had a memory. It wasn't wide. But it was deep. So deep I couldn't see the bottom. I knelt, prayed, waited, then dipped my hands in, and there it was, the fish, silver, silent, still. As if it had been waiting. I didn't chase it, I didn't grab, I just opened my palms under the water and whispered, "Please." It swam in, just like that. I wrapped it in banana leaves, tied with a thin vine. Gently. Like I was cradling Ada again, and I walked back, through thorns. Through silence. Through the smell of the curse still clinging to me. When I entered the market, people turned. I heard someone say, "Is she mad?" Another, "She still smells." But I didn't look at them, I looked only at the woman, Mama Ejogbo, sitting at the same corner, blind eyes to the sky. I walked up to her, my knees trembled, my lips were dry, then I knelt, not just on both knees. I pressed my forehead to the earth, the fish rested on her mat, my hands opened beside it, and I cried, not loudly. Not for show, but deep, from the place where regret births repentance. She didn't speak, for a long time, she did nothing, then. Her hand moved, it touched my cheek, her fingers traced my jaw like she was drawing a map of my guilt, and then. Nothing, she didn't speak, she didn't smile, she just sat still. Dear listener, what would you do, if forgiveness didn't sound like a trumpet, if it didn't come with a hug, if it came only in silence? Would you still believe you were forgiven, or would you run? Because no answer feels worse than a bad one. I stayed kneeling. The world spun, my eyes burned, and still, I waited, because sometimes, silence is the answer, and maybe, just maybe, her silence meant, she had given it to the gods now, and it was no longer hers to speak about. I rose, not because she told me to, but because the smell, for the first time in weeks, was gone. I didn't expect anything to change. I had returned the fish. I had wept like a child, and yet, when I woke up the next morning, the air still tasted thick around me, my body still felt heavy, my skin still crawled under imagined whispers. I thought, maybe nothing would ever be the same again. The days passed, 1, 2, 4, and then, something strange happened. Uche, my little brother, quiet Uche, who hadn't come near me in weeks, he crept beside me at dusk, just as the sun was painting the earth gold. He didn't say anything, he just leaned in, and wrapped his arms around me. I froze, waiting for him to flinch. To cough. To pull away like everyone else, but he didn't, he just said softly, "You don't stink anymore." That night, Mama sat me down and combed my hair. She hadn't touched me in so long. I'd almost forgotten what her hands felt like. She didn't speak at first, but when she did. It wasn't the sharp voice she used when I got in trouble, it was her old voice. The one she used when we used to sit under the mango tree. She said, "You've been carrying something heavy, wee-wee. But maybe now, it's time to rest." At school, my teacher asked me to read, and when I stood up, I held my breath, waiting for someone to cover their nose, to whisper, to throw paper at me, but no one did, and when I finished reading, she smiled. "Good, child." That word, child, hit me harder than a slap, because I hadn't felt like one for a long time. I had felt like a shadow, a walking shame. But now, I was someone's child again. On the 7th day, I went back to the market. I didn't go to sell, I didn't even go to buy, I just wanted to see, and the people, they let me walk. No one moved away, no one clutched their nose or children. The same woman who once called me Aho Nsi nodded at me, and then, at the far end, I saw her, Mama Ejogbo, still blind, still seated. Her face was turned to the sky like she was listening to a song no one else could hear. I didn't speak, I didn't kneel this time. I just stood, quiet, waiting. She turned her head slowly, not with her ears, but like she felt me. Then she smiled. Her lips barely moved. But the smile, it was soft. Deep. Knowing, she said, you smell of the river now. I blinked. What? I whispered. She tilted her head. That's the scent of someone who has been washed by truth. Dear listener, have you ever carried something invisible, something no one could see, but everyone could sense? Have you ever smelled like your mistakes, felt like your soul wore the perfume of guilt? What would you do if the only way to clean yourself wasn't with soap, but with humility? If you had to walk into a forest of fear, just to come out clean? I didn't know if the curse was truly gone forever, but I knew this: she had seen me, and not just with her ears. She had seen me, with the eyes that don't need sight. I left the market lighter that day. The smell had lifted, but something else had stayed behind: a lesson, a mark, a memory. Not all dirt is washed with water, and not all clean things smell sweet. Sometimes, the river must rise, to wash what pride has stained. Life didn't go back to how it was, no. Some things shouldn't go back. The stall in the market still smelled like smoked fish and pepper. Mama still haggled like her life depended on every coin. But me, I had changed. I stopped standing behind the stall. Instead, I started helping others. I swept the market paths in the morning, carried old women's baskets, told children stories about the forest and the river, and when I saw anyone take what wasn't theirs, just a mango, or a coin, or a spoon, I didn't scream, I didn't curse. I would sit them down and tell them, what you steal today may stain you tomorrow. My siblings, Luce, Obi, little Chima, they looked at me differently now. Before, I was just the girl who helped Mama cut fish. Now, they listened when I spoke. I told them, never steal. Not even when no one is looking, because even if no eyes see you, the soul remembers. There's something shame does to a person. If you fight it, if you hide from it, it becomes a disease. But if you own it, if you wear it like a second skin, walk with it, cry with it, learn from it, it becomes strength. I was once a girl they called Aho Nsi, a girl who stank so bad, people threw up. But now, they call me Sister Wiwi, the one who listens, the one who helps, the one who remembers. And maybe that's what punishment is for: not to crush us, not to destroy, but to bring us face to face with ourselves. Some people think punishment is cruel, but sometimes, it is the only way we remember to stay human. Let me ask you something: what would you do if no one saw what you did, but it still followed you? Not with handcuffs, not with police sirens, but with weight, with that kind of silence that fills your chest when you know you did something wrong. Maybe it's a lie you told, or a secret you're hiding, or something you took that wasn't yours. Time, money, trust. These things, they don't vanish. The world might not notice, but you do, and sometimes, that's enough to turn your smile into a mask. To make your joy smell like guilt. People think curses are magic, that someone has to chant or wave a charm. But I've learned, some curses are just truth that hasn't been faced. If you've done something, and you think silence will save you, I want you to think again. The river doesn't clean what hasn't been confessed, and forgiveness, it doesn't come to those who hide. So I ask you, what would you do if your soul started to smell? A small lie, a moment of selfishness, a shortcut you told yourself you deserved, and then, the shift, a friend who never looked at you the same, a silence that grew too heavy, a shadow that started to walk behind you. Comment below. I want to know, not because I'm judging, but because maybe, if we talk about it, we stop the stink of guilt from festering. Like this video if you believe in second chances, not perfect stories, just real ones. And if you want more stories like this, the kind your grandmother started, but never finished, the ones with curses, redemption, and truth that bites, then subscribe to African World Tales by Pinnacle. Remember, stealing is not a good thing. If you want something, learn to ask for it. Take permission, then go ahead and have it. Also learn to be satisfied with what you have to avoid unnecessary problems that comes with long throat.